I'm not gonna lie, I saw Kunigami and Shidou making waves, and I just had to return from the dead. The Blue Lock Chapter 341 leaks are finally here, and I'm back to cover them for you all. I am so sorry for disappearing off the grid, but sometimes life just hits you with straight BTA, and you've just gotta face tank it. Before we get into today's video, make sure to drop your predictions down below so you can hit me with the I told you so when you guess correctly. Also feel free to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications if you enjoy my content. And without further ado, let's get right into it. With an opening shot of Kunigami throwing straight hands for his training, the intro text for today's chapter says, "Daily fierce advancement. His physical body is what will drive Kunigami to the top." And the narration is not lying about that much, because Kunigami might be rivaling the attack titan with his current physique. And I'm talking about the titan form. I'm trying to get like you, my boy. As Kunigami practices his striking and blocking though, Igo's letter is once again shown, which says, "Kunigami, the answer lies within battle. Become the strongest warrior in physical combat." As we then see Igo and Henri having a chat on the sidelines for page 2, Igo goes on to explain exactly why he has Kunigami preparing for his debut in MMA. Firstly, he wants Kunigami to learn the sense of spacing in both offensive and defensive maneuvers found in mixed martial arts. On top of that, the thorough physical conditioning that martial arts requires is super useful for a striker, but Igo had another reason. These tools are just generally useful, and when implemented into the sport, they will create a versatile weapon for any position on the pitch. Think about Mark Snuffy for example, as he could easily play as a center back, midfielder, sole striker, pretty much any position thanks to his implementation of martial arts training. This is exactly why Kunigami was subbed on as a defensive midfielder. Igo goes on to explain that while utilizing both shidou and barou on the pitch simultaneously, Japan is obviously prone to getting hit with counter after counter due to this attack-heavy formation. This is exactly why Kunigami will once again become a hero, putting his body on the line and becoming Japan's shield for any counter-attack. Now the hero wording was not directly used of course, I just had to throw it in there as I have hope for our ginger hero to return better than ever. I know there was more to the wildcard scientifically, and he was just a control variable for the new egoist, but I must wait for proof or else I seem like I'm coping. Y'all know how it works. As we then get another angle of Kunigami landing back down from his amazing save last chapter, Igo says verbatim that he needs him to become a defensive tank for Japan. Somebody put this man on Ramacha or Reinhardt right now, because I already know Kunigami is a tank role kind of guy. The Japanese crowd of course is screaming in amazement and cheering Kunigami on, however his eyes are completely dilated and this beast is locked in. We then finally continue back into the match as Kunigami's header ends up in the possession of Ryu, who chest traps it and looks to connect it while being blocked by Leiden. With an overview of the field shifting once again, the commentators scream out that Japan and France's offensive and defensive roles have seemed to reversed here, as we're now seeing a lightning fast counterattack from Blue Lock Japan. As page 6 then shows Ryu managing to control the ball down and pass forward to hiori, the perspective then changes over to Isagi Yoichi, who's monologuing about the state of the field. First of all, he admits that Igo's new strategy is working, with the core of their new attack being tabito karasu. With the shadows behind it all though, Isagi knows that his job now is to focus on the movements that will take advantage of France's blind spots, find the weak points that are created from this two-sided strategy, and capitalize on this new design that Igo has engineered. Being closely marked, Yoichi manages to link up and slip over a pass to Ryo Mikage, who says he'll handle the rest. France's Leiden is even shown sticking his tongue out here and calling Japan's pace of play brutal, as even Gabin screams out for them to keep up with Japan and don't let up. It seems like the change of pace and play is working well for Blue Lock. Even Isagi says verbatim that they are fighting back against France way better than in the first half, and even their opposition is starting to react negatively. At the end of this sequence though, Isagi does say one little thing is still bugging him. I guess we should say big thing instead, because Isagi is referring to Hugo here, who we see respond to Ryo Mikage. Giving a simple hello greeting and telling Ryo that he won't let him get away, the two match up and begin to banter, as Ryo responds by calling him Lash's boy. I guess he had plenty of practice with these insults against Hitoshirin already, but I am curious, how do you all think Hugo would perceive Ryo, and what position or mentality would he try to push onto him? Anywho, back to our MC, the problem that Isagi mentioned was that he still can't imagine a scenario where he can individually win against Hugo. He goes on to admit that if he stays in the midfield as Japan's number 2 and focuses completely on being a playmaker, then they will 100% have an easier time carrying out attacks as a team. But that's not what Isagi wants. If he conforms to becoming a number 2 and playmaker, it'll be falling into Hugo's hands and doing exactly as he said, becoming a player with a suitable aptitude to win. But that is not what Isagi wants, nor what Igo is wishing him to do. As we get a classic puzzle piece moment of Isagi breaking himself apart, he takes on a serious expression while vowing that if he is to live as the world's best striker, then he must now find a new logic or theory to defeat Hugo. Above all, with his own goal. I need to know the statistics right now of my fans before I see major switch-ups, so comment down below. Are y'all on the Kamsugi side of things, or do we support the striker agenda fully? Let me know. Just then from Isagi's left, Barou says something super interesting to him with blacked out text bubbles. He tells Isagi that he's different from usual, in the sense that Barou cannot smell the scent of a goal coming from him at all. With Isagi just staring back in shock, Barou goes on to respond with a truly disgusted expression. Igo's plan was for Barou to use Isagi's movements to aim for the goal, but he is done with that and declares Isagi is useless. He even goes on to say that within this match, Isagi Yoichi is clearly not the king. And I mean, come on now. We got Hugo talking his shit, Karasu getting pissy, and now Barou just yapping Isagi's ear off and mine. Like, are we seriously gonna sit here and act like Barou didn't just get shut down by Hugo first shot after trying the all-reliable chop dribble, power shot, no spatial awareness combo? I mean, I truly, deeply, to my core, hate Shoei Barou. Anyways, as Barou sprints on ahead with lightning trailing behind him, he's now hunting for a new prey to devour, one that is too wild to even imagine. This immediately made me think of shidou ryusei, and combine that with Hugo saying lions can't fly. I am unfortunately expecting Barou to score in the near future off Shidou's scraps with some acrobatic header or shot. Please, if you can hear me, Kaneshiro, I beg of you, do not let this bum score before an actual striker like Shidou. Then moving along, this chapter is just hopping from person to person, as we now shift to Tabito Karasu's mind. As he watches Ryo and Hugo match up from the side, he monologues that he and Isagi are very alike. They both have the same football IQ, side-eye, and we're both kindred spirits who came to Blue Lock carrying the same anxieties. Now I just have to mark this as a mistranslation or something else, because since when did Karasu have equal football IQ to Isagi Yoichi, the NEL's #1? I'm not trying to hate on Karasu just to be different, but genuinely, there are levels to this, and Karasu was not out there beefing with Mark Snuffy. Where they can relate though, is Karasu goes on to say that he too was a person who felt the gap that Isagi is feeling right now, fighting between his true desire to live as a striker and role that his team needed him to play. In life, what you want to do and what you can do are two completely different things. Karasu understands that very well and knows his characteristics like maintaining balance, keeping the ball safe, and building up the attack are all suited for midfielders. Even if he couldn't fulfill his dreams of being a striker though, Karasu has fought hard and aimed to survive in Blue Lock. On the next part, Karasu admits that little by little, he saw the gap between him and Isagi widening, and as he thinks back to Isagi's final goal against U20 Japan, and even his victory against Karasu's NEL team PXG, he realizes that Isagi eventually became a striker and the center of it all, and he's been thinking about that this entire time. What is it that Isagi has that I don't? And I can answer this. Simply that dog in him. Because of this, Karasu wondered if clinging to Blue Lock would ever allow him to see the light, because at the end of the day, he was frustrated with being buried under Isagi's shadow. We then see both Ego and Hugo radiating aura within Karasu's mind, as he says that he's grateful for Ego for bringing him to such a stage. But now in his mind, he keeps wondering if Ego's philosophy is really what he needs to grow now. This is what he keeps thinking, and that's exactly why Hugo's words pierced right into his heart. If you live your life as second best, Blue Lock can still become stronger. We then see Karasu call out and receive a pass from Ryo, as even Hugo compliments this play and calls Karasu a good player. On this sequence, while activating his metavision, Karasu says that he now understands the future where Isagi as #1 has reached his limit. And with that currently happening, Karasu shall become their #2 and help Blue Lock Japan be reborn again. He does admit here though that he does not think this way of fighting is the final answer, but for now, he admits that this is a choice for the future where he gives up on becoming the world's #1. As Karasu charges ahead with the ball now in possession, he's faced with two defenders in front of him, and of course, Barou demanding a pass from his teammate. Despite all of this, his aura is flaring up around his neck once again as he says, if I can create a goal here, I can beat Isagi and flip everything on its head. With the next sequence being a double spread of Karasu threading a pass between these defenders, he vows to turn everything upside down and make Blue Lock Karasu Tabito's team. Tell me, who is this guy feeling like recently? Cause I'm low-key liking it. As the pass slips by two more players and Isagi notes that it's a vertical pass with perfect timing, Karasu grins and he says, you, the only one who is incomprehensible and impossible to handle. And I think we all know who this refers to. We've seen Barou have a shot attempt and do his normal nonsense, we've seen Kunigami save the day and had Ego talk about his purpose. Now it's time for the triple joker, for Japan's demonic trump card, Shidou Ryusei! I am so sorry to y'all's ears, but I am just so hyped to see Shidou on the pitch once again. This is my go. As we see him trap Karasu's pass and look confused at first, things quickly change to their usual rhythm. With Shidou's veins popping out of his face and him taking on a wicked grin, he immediately gets into the Ayo pause territory as he asks Karasu if he's all pent up because Shidou's egoism is popping at the seams here. I don't even want to know what else he could have meant by this, so let's get right into the outro text and away from this freaky ass. It says, "A long-awaited time of liberation, unleash your max desires," and once again, ayo! With that being it for today's leaks though, I have to absolutely talk about all of this in a dedicated video soon when I don't sound awful. But how are we feeling about Karasu wanting to take Isagi's place? I personally found it to be a pretty interesting plot point, and also Kunigami, Barou, and Shidou all having some spotlight in this chapter was nice to see. Minus Barou being the usual bum he is, I could care less about that system striker. Make sure to comment down below your thoughts on today's leaks, and as for the upcoming chapter 342, the title is apparently Reunion, which I have a couple thoughts on. I assume that Shidou Ryusei will score a goal of his own, or possibly have it yoinked by Barou, which will obviously be hype, but lead into Isagi's realization and monologue about what Karasu is scheming and what he needs to do. Unfortunately, I don't think Karasu realizes that by making these choices and isolating Isagi, our boy will only grow stronger and soon develop an even firmer grip on his ego and Blue Lock Japan. No matter the case, if you enjoy the content and wish me some good luck and health in life so I can upload, please take a moment to subscribe, turn on notifications, and of course, comment your predictions and hate on me for my Barou takes.